So I've been checking out the songs so far, and it's really cool. Like I grew up a new metal kid, and hearing this music really does take me back there because I think it's so easy to try and rehash something and it just sounds like a copy or something like this. But Sixth Sense, the music that I've heard so far, really does capture that feeling and that time from 20 years ago or so. So congratulations on that, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Was that always the goal from the beginning of Sixth Sense to try and not emulate, but recapture that magic from back then?
Yeah, I think so. Like Sixth Sense was actually started off of our members Bran and Cody. They were in this other band called Keychain, which was doing this very new metal style, like unabashedly new metal style. That's what they wanted to do. And then they ended up parting ways with their previous singer. So they were looking to replace that person. And I ended up auditioning for them. I worked on 3 demo songs that our guitarist Bran had sent me. And Bran really liked what I was doing on a lyrical and vocal level, but he was like, hey, I would like to incorporate singing in this band as well. Would you be okay with having or working with another vocalist in the band? So Vicky was already working on the demos with me. She was doing backing vocals on them. So for the 3rd song, before I started working on the 3rd demo that he had sent me, I was like, okay, well, now that I know there's going to be a 2nd vocalist, let's write this one with Vicky in mind, with a 2nd vocalist in mind. And that song ended up becoming Make Believe. And then we went forward from there. So early on, that's how we came up with the idea to be working with Vicky. And I think she did magic on the song and with our music. So.
Yeah, as she always does.
Yeah.
I'll just, like you say, you ended up kind of working together almost by happenstance, really. In that thing, was there any apprehensions about working together in a more professional environment as opposed to just recording songs together at home?
Vicky?
I wouldn't say apprehensions, really. It was just because I think like on a musical level, we get along pretty well. Like we don't agree every single time, like 100%, but when we do disagree, it's always like we realize that it's for the better of the song. So let's say we're songwriting and I come to Rob and I show him an idea and he's like, I kind of like what you're doing there, but you know, this is what I don't like. Can we fix this? And vice versa. And so we have that understanding that it's like, we're only disagreeing because it'll make the song better.
Yeah.
So we work really well in that sort of element. I guess the only apprehension was scheduling for me in the beginning, just because, you know, I would leave for tour, for example, or to record an album with the Agonist, and like he would stay home for a month or 2, and like we have dogs, for example, like whereas now with Sixth Sense, it's like, well, we're both going to be hitting the road. So that just leaves a little bit like, I guess, question marks for how we're going to pull it off.
Yeah.
But I don't think we really thought of that too much in the beginning stage. We were just excited.
Yeah.
We were writing music that we loved and creating something really awesome together that we didn't really, I don't know, figure out all the logistics.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like I would just say, like, I think the only apprehension that even I had myself and Bran, the guitarist, was that, well, she's very busy with the Agonist, as she mentioned. And our only thing was like, that might be a problem scheduling wise. But at the end of the day, we were like, we don't care. Like, she needs to be in this band. We need that voice in this band. And that's what's going to make Sixth Sense whole. So we'll work with whatever schedules come our way. So
yeah,
worth it.
Yeah, but of course it's not just the Agonist that you're balancing, because you're in another little band called Stuck Mojo, which,
yeah,
which I'm quite a fan of. Not to get too overexcited, as you can tell by my demeanor, but no, I'm a fan of Stuck Mojo going way back. So how's it for you balancing Stuck Mojo with Sixth Sense?
It was at a crossroads for me, being in Stuck Mojo. That automatically puts me at a default where I have to do another band because the members in Stuck Mojo, Rich and Frank, are also in Fozzy.
Yeah.
And Fozzy was really kicking off at the time in 2017 with their Judas record. And that's around the time I started thinking about joining another band, starting another project for myself to keep myself busy while they were busy with Fozzy. And that's when I got introduced to Bran and we started working together. But ever since, it's really been like Stuck Mojo has been on hiatus because Fozzy's been doing tremendously well. So I'm happy for those guys, and I'm going to move forward with Sicksense for now.
Good. Yep. Something notable about the band when you look at the lineup is that you all seem to have monikers.
Yeah.
For example, with Killer V. Was it important to give yourselves these monikers, or is it just something that you felt add to the flavor of the spirit of the band?
It honestly, it started as a joke. It was right after we filmed Make Believe. We were all in, well, everyone but Cody. Cody was, our drummer was headed back home, but we had Bran and Sam in the car with us, and we were driving back to Montreal. And it started as a joke. I think Robby called me Killer V.
Yeah, because before, this was during the Make Believe video shoot, and like before the video shoot, I was getting everybody hyped and like, all right, we're gonna be chopping heads, boy. Killer V's in the house, we're gonna be chopping heads. Like paying homage to Wu-Tang Clan as like an inside joke between us. And then continue, Vicky.
Yeah, no, so he kept saying that in the car. And then I think that just kind of inspired us. We're like, wait, everyone else needs a nickname. And during that same car ride, we found like nickname for Bran, because he always talks about breakdowns. So it's like Breakdown Bran, you know, he's all about the breakdowns. And then Sam, you know, he's a man of few words. He doesn't really say anything, but then when he says something, he's like instant one-liner. So it's like spot on. Sam.
Very witty. Very witty.
Very witty. Yeah. We had a harder time with Robby, but all this to say that it just started as a joke, and then we're like, well, why don't we do this? You know, how many people are actually doing this right now?
And then Cody was actually funny because his actual name is Cody Taylor, but of course there's the most famous Taylor in the world, which is Corey Taylor. So they're both CT. So as a joke, we decided to give him the little black metal treatment and call him the true Cody Taylor. Yeah. As just a little joke, play on words.
I like that it kind of came from Wu-Tang Clan. It means by that there has to be a point at a Sicksense show now where you have to demand that people open up a gravel pit.
Of course.
There you go. And as for the EP itself, Kings Today, I think is it 5 songs or 6 that's on the record? 5. Okay. Yep. Why was the decision made to do a EP straight off rather than build up to a full album?
You want to take this?
Sure. Yeah. So we initially actually wanted to do a full album, and that's what we did. We recorded a full-length album with Christian Donaldson here in Montreal, but then the pandemic happened. So we recorded these songs early 2020, like at the very start, January 2020, we recorded everything, 10 songs. But then the pandemic happened. So rather than, and Vicky and I, we live in Chicago in the United States, whereas the rest of the band members live here in Canada. So we were like, okay, we need to be filming music videos for these songs. And we weren't able to do that. The travel restrictions were insane for a very long time. Finally, before we did Make Believe in 2021, we were like, okay, we're gonna get vaccinated. Vicky and I got vaccinated. We decided we'll go through the quarantine process here in Canada, and we got that on the roll. We started filming the music video for Make Believe. But yeah, we did record a full-length album, and we just decided that, hey, we're going to save our songs and split it into 2 separate EPs. That way we can promote them and elongate the material rather than releasing a full-length album as a brand new band with no label support. That would have just got thrown in the dark, and we don't think it would have been as effective for us. But now doing an EP, we were able to do 3 music videos for a set of 5 songs, and we plan on doing the same thing for the follow-up EP. In fact, we are going to film a new music video for the follow-up EP very soon.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And I think it's a good way, with people's attention spans being what they are as well, it's a good way to highlight all your songs, because pre-release we've already released 3 songs. There's only 2 more.
Mhm.
So it's just 2 new songs that people will have to listen to instead of another 7.
Yeah.
And it's always bothered me as an artist, you know, to kind of look at like, let's say the Spotify numbers and see that your singles have like thousands or millions of views or plays.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you get towards the end of the album, like the last song has barely any plays.
They're underlooked.
They're
right?
underlooked. And sometimes that could be like, you know, your favorite song and people just haven't heard it.
They don't
so
know it.
Yeah. I think it's that's kind of a problem with what a friend of mine calls the headphone generation, in that people would just start a thing on Spotify just to have some sort of sound, and then they've got where they want to go on the bus or whatever. So it's an offer, but no, it's good. And what I like about it as well is that obviously, like you say, you do have plenty of other bands and projects and things like this coming up. I know the Agonist has got a big tour coming up with Hypocrisy and Septic Flesh, so it's good not to have like not full product as such, but a full focus on something that can be swept away by this upcoming tour or other commitments.
Yeah.
So that works well. Is there any sort of tentative idea when the second EP will be released?
We're thinking either, you know, later this year or beginning next year.
Mhm.
We don't, in less than a year, for sure.
Yeah.
And as for the recording process itself, like you say, it's the rest of the band's in Montreal. So there's that roadblock right from the start, even though obviously you're able to sort of get around things. Were you all able to get together to record these songs, or were these sort of more done via file sharing and things like that?
Well, the demos are really easy to do because yes, we just do it all through the internet. Bran usually does the whole instrumental by himself, and then, you know, the bass and the drums will change accordingly to what the other guys want. But we just work with that instrumental to start, and we have recording software at home, so we can record at home. So demos are really easy to do. As for like the final recordings of the songs, like Robby mentioned, we worked with Chris Donaldson, longtime producer and friend. And we actually did it in like segments.
Yeah.
I believe it was
Drums first.
Well, drums first, obviously, and bass and guitar, but those guys like did that, I think, in like November 2019, because I was on tour. And then when I came to Montreal right after my tour, Robby and I went into the studio and did the vocals like a month later after the guys. So he kind of fit us in, you know, in like spaces here and there. But like, it's always been pretty smooth. Like we had no issues with that per se.
Very good. Like you say, you've done 3 videos so far. Obviously the first one was Make Believe, which is a really cool video. It reminds me a bit of the Gold Cobra Limp Bizkit video, not to like the same extent, but it has a similar vibe for me. And the Forgotten Days video is really cool as well. There's some really sort of cool lighting and things like that. Again, were these sort of difficult to record with restrictions and things like this, or?
Yeah, especially Make Believe.
Make Believe, like I mentioned earlier, we really had to go through a lot of hoops. We had to like get the vaccine. We had to take numerous COVID tests to get there. For Make Believe.
There was no vaccine yet for Make Believe.
There wasn't. You're right. We had to take the vaccine actually for the second video for Kings Today.
So there was no vaccine available yet for Make Believe. We had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Crossing into Canada.
Was it a month? Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Right, we had to quarantine for 14 days after crossing, and when we filmed the guests, for example, on that white background, we had to make sure that they all had like a slot in which they arrived. So it was like, okay, you're coming from 12 to 12:30, then you're leaving, then another person's coming, because Montreal had restrictions as to how many people can be in a room together at the same time. So we couldn't just say, hey, it's a video shoot. Let's all get together. Let's have fun. You know, it was no.
We were all masked up directing the guests we had in the Make Believe video.
Yeah, we we had to go through some
It
stuff.
was a process, but then there was like the funny part where we went to this abandoned military base to film like the band shots, the full band shots, and there was just people partying here in Quebec. Just like they were just like having a good time, drinking beer, smoking, and they were just like hanging out on the like above us as we were performing, and we are just like, yeah, just whatever, just sit there and like, you know, hang out, be a part of the video, and everyone was having a good time. So that was kind of cool. No, that was a little fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Was there, like you say, there's pretty heavy restrictions. Did it affect what you could do musically, especially vocally? I mean, I've spoken to singers in a few other countries, like the Czech Republic, for example, where singing was just not allowed because it's projecting of the voice.
No, I mean, we haven't played any shows or anything like that. But we perform at home, I guess.
Yeah.
Through the internet, so that's okay.
Yeah, for the most part, our music videos, we were filming them in private locations.
Okay.
Kings Today was filmed at our bassist Sam's aunt's house. We were at his aunt's place and country house. So very private, did our thing.
Yeah.
No one bothered us.
Very nice.
Yeah, we didn't really rent any like public spaces or anything like that for these videos. So we were lucky in that, but yeah.
And Forgotten Days was filmed in our homes. That was the only one where we had to actually film that one remotely because it was a last minute idea. We weren't planning on doing a third music video, but we were talking to our publicists and they were like, well, we think it would be a good idea if you promoted a third single before the EP comes out. So we scrambled 2 weeks before the release of Forgotten Days. We had filmed it 2 weeks prior, and we just did this last minute. Vicky and I filmed each other's parts at home in Chicago. Sam and Brand, they went over to our regular videographer's house, Chris Kells. He filmed them in his place, and Cody filmed his drum parts at home as well. So there was like 4 different camera people working that video with Vicky and I included. Yeah, it was
they play instruments.
Yeah.
Something else I like about the EP is the artwork. The artwork's really striking. Yeah. And again, it's that it wouldn't have looked out of place on a new metal album 20 years ago, but it's not a throwback or anything like that. It's just it's a great piece of art in and of itself. Who's the artist for this EP?
The artist is our guitarist Branislav, his wife Alexandra Panic. Okay. She is the artist. She's a tremendous painter, and that's her style. I loved her style of paintings that she does. And whenever I do work with any kind of artist, I always just go to them because I appreciate their work. I don't ask them to change what they do or try to do something I want to do. I'm like, no, I'm coming to you because I love what you're doing here. This is perfect. And I just told her the concept for Kings Today. So I said, our album's going to be called Kings Today. Can you do this kind of theme? And I gave her some direction and just let her do her thing, and it was the end result. And I was inspired by I say this all the time, I loved Korn's See You on the Other Side album artwork. It was kind of like Alice in Wonderland type of vibe. It was like creepy and weird, new metal-y. I love that, and it's just so happened that Alexandra's artwork style kind of reminded me of that. That's what she just does. That's her thing. So I'm like, yes, this perfect. And the more people that are close to us that we can involve in our project that can become a part of our team. Yeah, I'm all for that. You know, I'd love to include as many people we know as possible.
Oh, great.
And it's good to mention too that it's an actual painting, like it's hand painted. It's not digital at all. So I think that's something rare in this day and age. Most artwork is done digitally at this point.
Nice. As for the title, Kings Today, where does that come from?
Well, it comes from the song.
Yeah.
The song Kings Today. We can't say too much. It's going to make a lot more sense when our second EP comes out. Okay. But they're related. We did like a play on words. So we got Kings Today, and there's something coming out soon. That's going to make sense.
Yeah, but it is the title of the song itself, and that song to us, you know, lyrically means various different things. Like when you say Kings Today, there's like, to me, there's 2 ways of taking that saying. It's like, one is like the positive, where you're like, I'm gonna overcome everything that's happening and I'm gonna be a king, you know, I'm gonna king metaphorically, like I'm gonna what's the word that I'm thinking of?
Like overcome.
Yeah.
Overcome.
Be on top of the
Be
world.
on top, you know, yeah. Every obstacle that's thrown at me, I will overcome it, and I will, you know, sit at that throne, so to speak. But then there's also the negative, how I perceive it, that sometimes a lot of people live lavishly, I guess, and they don't consider tomorrow. So it's like, I'm living like a king. I'm, you know, not considering whether it's financially or just like the decisions that you make, how they can impact you or your environment, you know, tomorrow or a month or 10 years from now. So that's like the negative aspect of it for me.
It also kind of sounds like in a third and more humorous way. If you're from a country like England or Spain or whatever, it's just a sort of a general complaint. Kings today. Not like they were hundreds of years ago. So,
That's great. We didn't even know that, but see, I love
there you
that.
Yeah, I always love hearing that.
Well, just finally to wrap it up, like you said, you do have plans to perform live at some point. Are there any shows penciled in at the moment, or no? Okay. Once the Agonist tour is over, do you think you'll start looking more live dates?
I think, you know, for us, it's more about building right now, and just, you know, growing a fan base through social media, through our content, just making people aware of who Sicksense is and what we do. With 5 songs from this EP, we could be like the opening band, let's say on a tour package, 20-25 minutes. However, from a realistic perspective, like, I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like you need to build yourself in this industry. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have prior experience. When you start a new band, it's still a new band. So our focus is more on, let's write music, let's put out music videos, let's grow our fan base, and let's show people what we're capable of. So we're kind of thinking right now, just wait for the second EP. When that drops, at least we'll have 10 songs, and maybe more people will know about us. And then if we do get a tour opportunity, we'll have 10 songs to choose a set from, instead of being like, oh, well, we only have 5 songs.
These are the 5 you're going to get.
Throw in a couple of covers, no one will notice.
But yeah, that's our main focus right now.
Good. I like that. I like that Sicksense is building up its own thing, because it is its own thing. You know, when you listen to it, you don't listen to it and go, oh, that just sounds like the Agonist or Stuck Mojo or whatever. It's its own thing, and it's really good music. So to build on it and create it as its own entity is great, because, you know, I mean, going back to Korn, you remember, I don't know if he still does it, Stillwell, Fieldy with Q Unique and Wov from POD. And it was fine, but it was like, here's the 5-song EP, and now we're opening for Korn. And everyone goes, well, of course they're opening for Korn. So people kind of dismiss it without hearing it, you know. Whereas to build Sicksense as something separate from the Agonist or Stuck Mojo or anything else, it does give its own freedom and its own independence. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we'd love to earn our opportunities.
Yeah.
Good.
And I was going to say, for that reason too, we didn't really go to the same resources that we have and the same connections that we have with our other bands. Like for myself, it didn't feel right. I have a whole team of people that I work with, like in terms of labels and management and all that for the Agonist. I'm like, this music is very different. You know, I'm not going to contact our booking agent that works with like extreme death metal bands and ask for his help. Like, that makes no sense. So we've approached it very like DIY and see what we can get that's more related to that music and that sort of genre.
Yeah, completely rebuilding from the ground up. This is that's what's very cool for us with Sicksense. Is we're doing everything ourselves, and with the team that we're building, it's completely from the ground up, 100%. So we're excited to see how far we can end up taking it. It's exciting.
Well, based on this EP, very far, because the foundations are basically there. You know, it's its own thing. When you listen to it, you go, I mean, that's good. So anyway, I will stop brown nosing and wish you a very pleasant day. And thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you.
This was a pleasure.
Thank you, Oliver.
Bye now.